Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. I'm Paul Jasson. Thank you for joining us. And again, we're well into 2021 now. What we hope will be, as we move forward, a better time in terms of what's gone on for the past almost year behind us. We'll just step away from that and move forward and hope 2021, as we move into that, are better experiences for everybody, and certainly the guests we're having on. We'll be talking about how they've handled everything in this past pandemic time. But some of the changes, in fact, some of the changes we found out, they were forced to make them because of the coronavirus. But now I think they're finding out that many of the changes they made were good ones and could be used again in the future and added into the programs that they already have. We'll talk about that with our guest here, Anna Tobin with Meals on Wheels. Anna, thank you for joining us.
Oh, great to be here.
Anna's the executive director, and golly, when you think about who was affected most by this pandemic, I think the first group of people to come up is seniors, your wheelhouse. I mean, the people that you deal with, you're front and center on showtime for you guys.
Absolutely. You know, when this thing hit almost a year ago now, back in March of 2020, our agency immediately saw a 40% increase in our home delivery. And that was huge. And that became partly due to the fact that all those congregate sites that we supply all now had to be home delivered people. Our restaurant site programs continued, but most importantly, our home delivery continued. And as you had mentioned earlier, it did stretch us all. And as Winston Churchill quote, he said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And at Meals on Wheels, we jumped right on it, and we really allowed this crisis, this pandemic, to stretch us and to not become the victim, but really find out positive solutions to address the situation. A, to make sure our seniors were fed and taken care of. B, to make sure that isolation didn't become overwhelming for our seniors. So all kinds of programming kind of morphed and was put into place to make sure that everyone was cared for. Yeah, you had to make a lot of changes early on, like almost on the fly, about how you were going to do things, because you couldn't have business as usual and survive. Absolutely. It wasn't going to work for your clients. Absolutely. Well, the first thing that happened was our agency was closed to the general public. Yes. So that meant our congregate site there at the dining room area closed down. So the activities that were happening on a daily basis, and then those daily lunches, were put on hold. All those clients became home delivered clients. Our 5 congregate sites around the area also closed, and all the seniors were kind of put into their own apartments and stayed kind of to themselves, so that their congregate dining areas were no longer available to them. So again, home delivery there. Our restaurant programs began offering grab-and-go meals. As you know, most of the restaurants were closed at the beginning of this whole thing, so they were able to call in, order a nutritious meal, come pick it up, and still be, have a good meal for the day. So that was really huge in the fact that we were able to continue the meal services. We had to get in shelf-stable meals, because who knew what was going to happen, as it came into March, April, May, what's going to happen, and what would happen if we were needed to close down because of staff illnesses or a statewide mandate. So we had to make sure our seniors had plenty of shelf-stable food on their shelves that they could access in the case of that emergency. And I have to give a big hats off to our local county commissioners, our local EMA, that allowed us funding to provide those shelf-stable meals. The PPE that was needed, of course, all our drivers had to have masks and have the hand sanitizer
training available. And how to handle this.
So we had to do safe delivery methods, and what do we do if we have to go into a senior's home who is bedridden and can't get to the door?
Sure.
And so primary concern for us up front was, keeping our staff and our clients all safe and reduce the risk of exposure as much as possible. And so, again, I have to give a big hats off to our community, to local government, to our state and federal governments for providing essential service providers like ourselves with funds that we were able to address this pandemic, keep operating safely.
And again, so now we're well into this, maybe not a year, but almost a year. Still these increases, are they continuing? They're certainly still large numbers now that you're dealing with.
Right, so we generally budget on 6% increases over the course from year to year because our senior population is growing here in Fairfield County and across the nation.
Absolutely.
So locally we plan on the 6% increase, but we've flattened out to about 14% now, so that's still well above what we normally project. And it's coming from our seniors who are again, maybe not otherwise qualified for the program, but do need services because they are self-isolating. You know, it is a scary place for a lot of seniors out there who may have compromised immune systems, or as we age, let's face it, our immune systems do decrease. And so they're being extra cautious. And so what was put into place was emergency food deliveries, emergency grocery shopping for our seniors, and telefriend service. Those were three of the biggest programs that we put into place to make sure our seniors were fed and to make sure that they stay connected.
And again, these are things that just came about, and you're finding out how wonderful they are and how much is needed and how much your clients appreciate it. But it really all came about from the awareness of your Meals on Wheels people, your type of business, that how can we help people?
Right.
What's the next logical step?
Yeah, you saw the need, you heard the need.
Yeah.
You know, seniors are calling in and, hey, is there anything like this? You know, we were able to connect with funding to provide emergency rent and mortgage assistance, because certainly we didn't want any seniors out on the streets or being relocated at that time. Also, emergency rent and mortgage and utility assistance. So that was huge. I think we had roughly $31,000 that we were able to provide in that assistance here locally for the seniors of Fairfield County. So all good stuff. And you know what was really critical too was staying connected with the Ohio Department of Aging, the Central Ohio Area Office on Aging. Just real information sources. It was like drinking from a fire hose. You were getting so much information all the time, digesting it, and then turning it around to see how it could best apply to our seniors here locally so that they could benefit from the funding that was coming through, the education that was coming through to us, and how to best serve, and ultimately, you know, providing for the well-being and safety of our seniors.
And you talked about it sort of like a fire hose a year ago. I mean, it's just, we have no history. We don't know where we're headed, but I mean, we're being flooded with things that you never thought you'd have to deal with in your job, and you found out you did have to deal with them. So now with that history behind me, I don't think it would be nearly as scary or as intimidating moving forward into this year, because much of these same things I'm sure will have to go on again. But now you have a little history on, well, this is what we did a year ago, this is what we can do now.
Well, we had a business continuity plan in place, and it outlines what happens if there's a fire, what happens if there's a tornado. The pandemic had wear a mask and sanitize. Oh my gosh, now it's a 4 or 5, 6 page document.
I was going to say it's much bigger now. And I think, and again, I've talked about we've dealt with a lot of nonprofits over the years here on the show and talked about it, and certainly in the last year, they found out things that they never intended on doing, but they found out, well, Zoom meetings and things like that, things that you never thought you'd do, but now they turn out to maybe be a better way.
Yeah, you know, I've heard people say there's more participation, you know, because sometimes it's difficult for people to travel to get to meetings, you know, and that kind of thing, some more participation. I have to give a big hats off to our staff. I mean, you cannot imagine, the resiliency of our staff, the dedication of our staff has just been incredible over the course of the pandemic. It is challenging for people to step up to the plate and say, okay, I'm going to do this no matter what. Our volunteers, we had volunteers continue and even take on additional routes for us throughout the pandemic. So, you know, people needed fed, people needed services, and again, our staff and our leadership team have been incredible, so I have to give a big hats off to them.
And before we came on, we were just chatting about some of the changes you've had to make and kind of been pushed into making, and they've turned out to be in many ways good changes. But now you're saying a lot of your bingo, a lot of your things now, virtual Zoom. I mean, and actually you're finding more people are participating.
Absolutely. So again, that's one of those innovative items that came out of the pandemic, and we'll continue that because opening up bingo to homebound people allows them to call into our conference line listen to the bingo game. If they win the prize for the day, our meal delivery guy takes them their prize.
How nice is that?
And how fun is that for them to know, like every
Yeah.
Tuesday or every Friday, they're going to have the opportunity to be in a social setting, although virtually, with a group of people. They have a little bit of chit chat beforehand and then play a game of bingo. So it's really cool how it all came about. And Gina Holbrook is our activities coordinator. She has done a fantastic job of looking for virtual ways to stay connected.
And again, she's just kind of looked out there and probably read things and seen things. What would work for us? How could we tailor it for us?
Mm-hmm.
And many times those
Yeah.
things could be things you'll do well into the future.
Yeah, and again, not just shoving these things on the seniors, but asking the seniors, what would you like to see? What would you be willing to participate in? How are you most comfortable participating? And so that's how we determine our programming.
I know one of the things that we've talked about before in a lot of your visits here are the things you do to try to keep seniors at home, and by delivering meals and now these other events that you're doing, and try to keep them home and keep things moving along in a way that otherwise maybe they wouldn't be able to stay at home. Really, that's a huge tax savings to
absolutely.
Fairfield County and beyond.
Absolutely. Not only is it the right thing to do, but face it, there is limited amount of funds in those Medicare budgets and in
Sure.
the Medicaid budgets. And so, providing services to seniors, we can do the same. We can provide a year's full worth of meals for the same price as 7 days in a nursing home, or I believe it's 2 days in the hospital, something like that. But it's an incredible tax savings ultimately, and it's the right thing to do for sure.
Well, Anna Tobin's been with us. She is Executive Director of Meals on Wheels. And again, they have a really good website. There are all kind of things on there in terms of, I like that, hey, Fairfield County, let's do lunch. I like that. I saw that on there, and that was good. Have a great website.
Oh, yeah, we love our website. It has a lot of information, whether you want to volunteer with Meals on Wheels or whether you're looking for services for yourself
Or make
someone you're caring
donations,
for.
or how you can help it,
Yeah.
or be helped. I guess it's all there.
Local donations are really key to our additional programming and also for keeping the new facility afloat. So we do accept donations year-round, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit serving the entire county.
MOWFC.org is the website. Meals on Wheels, Fairfield County. A good website, a lot of information, much more than we've just been able to touch on the surface today. So we'll get you back, and we'll see how it's going. And as we move into 2021, we know it'll be an interesting year, regardless of what direction it goes. We know that.
Yeah,
But
we
you
know
guys
that.
do a great job,
Thank you.
and let's do lunch, Fairfield County.
Absolutely.
I like that.
If you're interested in volunteering, give me a call.
Anna Tobin with Meals on Wheels, MOWFC.org is the website. So we thank Anna for being with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is and the memorials and the flags and all this stuff. And we looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with a community bank that you where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want a bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here, they're conversant, customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And again, a reminder here in the lobby downtown at Fairfield Federal, where we are, as they're still, now into 2021, still kind of that quasquicentennial 125 years of banking thing going on. Of course, had to put the brakes on, pump those a lot in 2020 because of what went on there. But now they're into 2021. The lobby here is still closed to just walk-in traffic. You can call the bank and chat with them, and they'll set up an appointment. Be glad to have you come in under those conditions. Drive-throughs are, of course, always open, normal banking hours. And fairfieldfederal.com online, you can do a lot of that. This is where that online banking can really pay off if you can't get in. You can just do so many things online that allow you to keep up with your monies, and whether it's a personal account or a business account, fairfieldfederal.com. But again, if you need to get in here, certainly call somebody and they'd be glad to have you. But the place to go is fairfieldfederal.com. We've talked to a lot of the nonprofits around and how the kind of year they had, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, but certainly just different. 2020 was just different for everybody. I don't think anybody we've had on has said it wasn't for them. And our next guest, I'm sure we'll talk about that, Corey Schoonover, director of the Fairfield County Humane Society. And 2020 was, in that respect, different for you.
Difference, proper word.
Yes.
I think for it was different meant, we learned a lot of new ways to do things. We started out the year really at a fantastic pace. Almost the first couple months of the year, like before any of the pandemic started and any lockdowns, we already had that feeling like, hey, this is going to be a really good year for adoptions and things like that. And then March hit, and it was actually one of our biggest adoption months of our existence. So it was, okay, is that the direction we were going to head for 2020, or has the stay-at-home stuff really put a focus on, like, wow, now we're at home with our families, and why not add another family member? But it wasn't just adoptions, it was our need for services and all of that stuff. So it really, they thought, okay, how long is that going to last? Is it going to be a couple month thing or whatever? But it really lasted throughout the entire year. So not only were there the challenges of how you're doing business now versus how we were before, but now all of a sudden everything that we had, animals for adoption or our services that we offer, were in huge demand. So we actually hired staff, we added new phone lines. It was a little crazy, and all of that at the beginning was while we were doing an expansion on the front of our building to offer more space, which kind of fell into place at the right time, because then we had an extra 900 square feet and additional adoption rooms to help us social distance. So it was a little interesting how all the pieces fell into place.
Earlier, I guess it was, late last year, much later from what the original Chamber of Commerce meeting was. They had to keep Travis, Mark Wood, and the whole board there, they just had to keep pushing things back because everybody thought, there's an end coming. Well, it wasn't quite coming, but they finally, I think in August is when they settled on that. I can't remember now, but we've had Travis on since that meeting there, and one of the things that kind of caught my eye was that the Humane Society was the 2020 nonprofit of the year. Geez, a big honor for your organization, and a little, I guess, just a little pat on the back and thank you, because you guys have made some tremendous changes there over the past year.
That was a huge reward, and again, a little tampered down celebration with it. But I think, for us and for the staff, and especially at the timing of it, really kind of gave us a morale boost. Again, everything was so busy, and it's just like we didn't really have time to breathe. So that recognition was nice. I mean, I've been there 10 and a half years now, and we have made a lot of changes and improvements to receive that with all the other great nonprofits that serve Fairfield County. It was definitely a real honor to get that.
Sure.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, I was saying I drive by there a good bit when I go home, and I'll kind of watch your dog park be built, and kind of, how's that going to work? There's a hill there. How's this all going to come about? Well, you of course you got it in. Is that still going great guns?
Yeah. As long as we, summertime, springtime, even it could be super cold out, and you got to take your dog. You got to get out of the house. And I think what people have really noticed staying home a little more is, okay, my dog can drive me nuts just like my kids. So you still see people out there. Doesn't really matter the weather. The dog's got to get out and run. So that's been a fantastic addition that we've had for a few years, and everything's really coming together with all of that stuff.
And we talked about it. I think you must be kind of a high energy type A person, because every time we chat with you, there's always a monster expansion going on. And we're looking now into 2021. A vet clinic perhaps is in the plan here, and a grooming expansion.
Yes. So when we expanded, we added our current vet clinic and grooming and boarding area a couple years ago. And now we've gotten to the point where we have 2 full-time groomers on staff, and they're booked out months in advance. Wow. So we need additional space to add additional groomers. And then our vet clinic services, we've been running that 2 days a week. Well, it's come to a point where, we're doing 30, 35 vet appointments a day.
Really?
Yep. So we do a lot of those, and we've finally hired a vet full-time that's coming on in mid-February. So we're going to expand those hours. We're going to do 4 days a week, and then we're going to need additional clinic space for that. So, I think when we talk about the timing of everything, and all of our services are low-cost, geared towards, hey, we want to keep animals in their homes. So we want to make pet ownership as cost-affordable as possible. And I think in this environment, it's really hitting home for people. So we haven't seen a lot of owner surrenders from our community. A lot of the animals we bring in, we did almost 1,300 adoptions in 2020. And a lot of those animals aren't coming from our community. So we're doing a really good job of keeping animals in their homes. And with those low-cost services, you can tell they're needed and appreciated, and they're really being utilized.
Well, I was, if you want to go to a good website, the Humane Society has a good one. You can just type it Fairfield County Humane Society, and it'll come up with a good one. But connecting animals and community through rescue, adoption, education, all things you work with. You have educational people out there. You have training services available too.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have, again, everything geared towards, finding animals homes, plus if they already have a home, how do we keep them in their homes? So when you're talking about, we have a dog trainer on staff, our grooming services, it's I like to call us a one-stop shop. So everything you need for your animals, we have available.
Now, is this January Pet Dental Health Month? Is that January?
Yeah.
Okay. Heartworm Awareness Month?
Yep. So they animals are kind of, so there's a national month. There's something every month.
Yeah.
I don't know who came up with them, but we
never stops.
Yeah, we kind of roll with those themes. So I don't know why some of them it makes sense why they picked them for this month, but heartworm awareness, that's a big thing. No one really thinks about it, and you have flea treatment, but heartworm is your invisible. It's an invisible thing that can affect your dog, where your dog gets heartworm. It can be life-threatening, and it can be very expensive. So we educate on, hey, let's do some prevention.
Sure.
In that regard. So
one thing I didn't realize, you did dental work out there or cleanings, and I didn't do that. So I was scrolling through the website, and I'll admit this, I'm a puppy lover. I'm a big dog guy. But you have a picture of a dog with a toothbrush, a big thing, and it says affordable doggy dentals. Well, when I first read that, I thought it said affordable doggy rentals. I thought, is there nothing they don't do out there? They rent but that maybe that's something in the future. Maybe
I bet we
you'll
could
see.
Rent puppies.
You can see the wheels turning now with Corey.
Yeah.
Corey Schoonover is our guest, and he's with the Fairfield Area Humane Society. 687-0627 is their number. Phone been ringing off the wall out there with questions and about things coming or things you do now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So again, a few months ago, we went from 3 incoming lines to 6 incoming
Expansion, more expansion.
Doesn't mean that I have 6 people able to answer the phone, but it gives you better access to leave a message. So, between all the different ways you can get a hold of us, whether calling, emailing, when you refer to our website, you can submit your adoption application on there. So anytime we post new animals, we have a ton of people that follow our Facebook page, and anytime we post new animals, it's like a mad dash, whether they were people that were approved previously but maybe didn't get the animal of their choice, so they're constantly looking on there. So all I can tell people is we'll never have enough people sitting there to be able to answer the phone, because we have just as many people coming in.
Sure.
So leave a message.
Yeah.
We'll get back to you. We try and get back to you within 24 hours. But I think the biggest thing is people don't realize how busy we are. So when I tell people, hey, we adopt over 100 animals a month, or we do 35 vet appointments a day, or our groomers are booked for 3 months, it's until you actually kind of come out and see it or experience it, you really don't know how busy we really are.
Well, and I'll tell you that adopting a pet, one of our dogs, we got out there and we adopted him out there, and how rewarding it was. It turned out to be a great guy. Yeah. Wonderful match for my wife and me and the dog, and it gives you that feeling like this is the way it should be. You just
Absolutely.
say some guy from perhaps not as great a future, but I can see why you do that. You have a wonderful facility out there and everything. A big thing with everybody now, of course, the vaccines are starting to roll out in the country. Things are going. Pet vaccines a big deal too there with you, low cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So our vet clinic is really, it's not a full service vet clinic. We gear more towards wellness. So
Yes.
your yearly vaccines, exams. I feel probably our staff feels like we treat every ear infection in dogs in Fairfield County. But those basic sick things and your vaccines are super important for preventative maintenance, right? So we do a ton of that stuff, and then of course we add things as we can, and if the community needs it. So
Yes.
we talked about doggy dentals. We do blood work. So there's a lot of things we do to really, again, keep your pets in your home.
Well, it's a wonderful place out there, the Fairfield Area Humane Society out on Granville Pike right there. Again, just go with, if in your search engine, just put in Fairfield County Humane Society, it'll come up with it. But Corey Schoonover has been our guest. You guys do so much out there, and just obviously more and more need,
Yep.
and as you find the need, you find a way to get her done.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Again, congratulations on the award in 2020, and we hope 2021 just, again, another tremendously successful year, because the community needs that. They need a good society out there, and you're really filling a role.
Yep, absolutely. We appreciate it, and of course we can't do it without the support of the community, so we appreciate everyone really helping
thanks
us
to the
out.
commissioners and everybody that supports you guys out there. You just do a great job. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Corey Schoonover with the Humane Society. Thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.